Hi, I'm Jeremy Fowler with the St. Paul Pioneer Press, and this is my colleague Brian Murphy. We just covered the Vikings game, another loss. The Vikings are 2-9 right now. They lost 24-14 to the Falcons. Had a chance. Controversial fourth down call there, Murph. 4th and 1. Leslie Frazier called it a bad mistake that he went for it on 4th and 1 at the 1-yard line with Toby Gerhart, who you might remember from earlier in the year had a 4th and 1 he got stuffed on. That's twice in a row. Was it the right call? I don't think it is. I think they should have kicked the field goal.
I'm actually going to be a contrarian and think, yeah, it is. You're a 2-8 team. You did convert a 4th and 13 for a touchdown earlier. You know, if you can't get 1 yard in this league when you need to, when you're 2-8, I don't blame them for going for it. They probably wouldn't have gotten down to the 1 yard line again, and you would have needed a touchdown.
Right.
So I just think it's indicative of just where this team is at. They're unable to make key plays when they need to, and it's just sort of symbolic of where the whole season's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the desperation of a 2-8 team just trying to make something happen, but you have a makeshift offensive line that's really struggled all year. They got stuffed in the two previous plays, and Atlanta's second in the league in rushing defense. I had a problem with it. I thought if you kick the field goal, you at least give yourself a chance to let your defense stop it, although that's been a problem in the past. The defense hasn't stopped teams in the fourth quarter either.
Right, they used to be able to put teams away, but they haven't, and Atlanta had just scored on their previous drive. And the other thing that interesting that came out in the postgame as well, Percy Harvin thought he got in on 3rd and 1, and he was kind of asking, actually begging the coaches, I think, to challenge the play. Word didn't come down from the press box in time, so there's possibly a missed opportunity. They could have gotten the score, and they wouldn't have had to run on 4th and 1 anyway. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, a lot of Sunday evening quarterbacking as Bill Musgrave was trying to justify his decision to go for it as well in the play call.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder why they didn't see that, or maybe there was something there from the box they couldn't tell if Harvin got in. But, you know, another issue was the secondary. I mean, you had Asher Allen go down with a shoulder injury, I guess a shoulder stinger, he said. I mean, you had the trio of Winfield, Cook, and Griffin that's played, 2 games together since 2010. And then now you have this injury. I mean, you know, they're basically rolling out Leslie Frazier to play a cornerback. I mean, I just don't know how they're going to survive there for 5 more games.
And Benny Sapp, who 2 weeks ago was sitting on a couch, now is basically playing starter snaps. Tyrell Johnson and safety pulled a hamstring. I mean, they are so depleted back there right now. And they were already, you know, underachieving as it was. It's going to be tough just to finish the season. Teams are going to be picking on them all the time. I mean, Falcons really just kind of dinked and ducked their way down the field as much as they needed to. They didn't really go for any big plays, but there were too many gaping holes out there that these guys just weren't adept at covering.
I mean, they did what the Vikings can't do all year. They just found a way to win. You know, they haven't been able to do that, but you know, at least some kind of positive light for the Vikings is the play of Percy Harvin. I mean, look, he's a guy that I feel like even at times they've kind of misused. You know, they almost don't know what his identity is. Is he a running back? Is he a receiver? Is he a kick returner? But today he was used beautifully, and we saw what he can really do. I mean, he's such a gutsy player, and that kickoff, I mean, cannonballed out of there for 104 yards. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
You remember in the preseason there was all this talk about, well, how much should we use him on the kickoff? We don't want to burn him out. Look, give the guy the ball because the guy can make plays. He's your only explosive player. 104-yard return, the longest in the history of the NFL without a score. Bested his 103-yard kickoff return for a touchdown at San Diego, and also matched the Vikings team record. So just a tremendous performance by probably their gutsiest player, and just get him the ball as much as he can.
And he's really the only guy you can go deep to, as you can see. They don't have receivers to create any separation, so they need him to create something like we saw in that 4th and 13 play. And yet it wasn't enough. We see Leslie Frazier coming out in the press conference. You know, it's just another guy who comes out solemnly and has not much to say other than to try to justify the loss. You know, he's in a tough situation for a team that doesn't have a very bright outlook right now.
I mean, they just don't have enough playmakers. They don't have the weapons to compete against a team like Atlanta, which showed that they had enough resolve for when they weren't moving the ball, they weren't getting things done. They did put together a touchdown drive at the end. And, you know, basically, even though they made a few mistakes with the botched punt and kind of spoon-fed the Vikings momentum, they do what good teams do. They make plays when they need to, and they put teams away. They make plays at the goal line. That's something the Vikings haven't been able to do.
That's right. It's less of a remodel now. It's more of a rebuilding for this team. They have to totally kind of, scrap the blueprint and try to find something for 2012 at this point. 5 games left. We're kind of running out of storylines here. They found so many creative ways to lose. You know, it's kind of hard to predict where they're going right now.
Well, now we've got Tim Tebow and Denver coming in next week, and now the biggest question is, are they going to be able to sell out that game? I think last week there were 5,800 tickets left. You know, they haven't had a non-sellout since 1997. I think they're going to be really challenged. 2-9 against somewhat of a subpar Denver team. I don't know if the Tebow phenomenon is going to be enough to generate the kind of revenue and interest that's going to get people to plop their money down and see this team right now.
Tim Tebow, the Vikings are rooting for you to create thousands of tickets sold. I mean, that's all they have right now, because that streak has been, 13 years. They're counting on it. Steve LaCroix's got a big job to try to sell out. From the Pioneer Press, I'm Jeremy Fowler. This is Brian Murphy, and we're here at the Georgia Dome signing off.